Hello everyone. I welcome you all to this lesson. Today I am going to discuss important question and answers of All Summer in a Day, which is written by Ray Douglas Bradbury. This is for my ICSE children. So here I begin. And before that, let me ask you, have you subscribed to my channel? If you have not subscribed up till now, then please do. And watch the video till end. And press the like button, and I'm sure you are going to like it. So dear children, let us start with the important question and answers of All Summer in a Day. Please listen carefully. It will be helpful for you. So, my first question is, why were the children so excited? And the correct answer is, the children had been living on the planet Venus, where the sun shone once in 7 years, and it was the day when the sun was about to shine. Thousands upon thousands of days compounded and filled from one end to the other with rain, with the drum and gush of water, with sweet crystal fall of showers, and the conclusions and the concussions of storms so heavy they were tidal waves come over the island. Question number 2. What was the impact of the rain? So the answer is, the impact of the rain was very severe, under which 1,000 forests had been crushed and many more grown 1,000 times to be crushed again. This was the way on the life of the planet Venus forever. Also, heavy concessions of storm led the tidal waves to come over the islands. The continuous downpour changed the air of the atmosphere that made everybody look dull and pale. Question number 3. Why didn't the children remember the sun? And the answer is, the children had been living on the planet where the sun shone only once in 7 years, and that day the rain was stopping. These children did not remember a day when there wasn't rain. They were all 9 years old, but there had been a day 7 years ago when the sun came out for an hour and showed its face to the shocking world, but they could not remember this, as at that time they were only 2 years old. Question number 4. What did the children dream about the sun? And the answer is, the children had almost lost the remembrance of sun. Sometimes at night they dreamt and remembered gold or yellow crayon or a coin large enough to buy the world with. They thought they remembered blushing in the face and warmness in the body, in the arms and legs and trembling hands. Question number 5. How was their dream shattered? And the answer is, the children dreamt about the sun, but their dream came to an end and they awoke to the sound of drum, the endless shaking down of clear bead necklaces in the form of rain upon the roof, the walk, the gardens, the forests, and their dreams were shattered. The day before, they had read about sun in the class. Its appearance was like a lemon, and it was hot. They had even written small stories, essays, or poems about it. It was like a flower that bloomed for just 1 hour. Question number 6. What was the impact of the rain on Margaret? And the answer is Margaret was a very frail girl who looked as if she had been lost in the rain for years, and the rain had washed out the blue from her eyes, the red from her mouth, and the yellow from her hair. She had an appearance of an old photograph dusted from an album, and her voice was like a ghost. Question number 7. How did children tease Margaret? And the answer is when she used to stare at the rain, William targeted her saying, "What are you looking at?" And when she replied nothing, he asked her to speak forcefully. He gave her a rough push. The children isolated her from the group and did not look at her. Question number 8. Why did the children do so? And the correct answer is the children teased her because she did not play any games with them in the echoing tunnel of the underground city. If they tagged her and ran away, she could not follow and stood there blinking after them. She hardly accompanied them when the class sang songs about happiness and life and games. She only sang when the children sing about the sun and the summer. Question number 9. What was her biggest crime? And the answer is the children did not mix up with Margaret as she was a bit different from them. Her biggest crime was that she had come on their planet only 5 years ago from Earth, and she remembered the sun and the way the sun and the sky was when she was only 4 in Ohio. And those children had been on Venus all their lives, and they had been only 2 years old when last the sun came out. They had long since forgotten the color and the heat of it, but Margaret remembered everything. Question number 10. What is meant by the loud wet world beyond the huge glass? And the answer is the story is a science fiction which is about the life of planet Venus, where it had been raining constantly for the past 7 years, and the children who were born on that planet were only 2 years old when they had last seen the sunshine. They had confined in the thick glass windows from which they could hear the loud noise of rain, and it was so wet outside that there was rubber and ash colored jungles of weeds, flowers, and huge trees that covered the planet. Question number 11. What did Margaret tell about the sun to the children, and what was their reaction? And the answer is once she had told the children that it was like a penny with her eyes closed, as if she was telling or remembering some wonderful thing or event. But children refused to accept it. Then she said that it was like a fire in the stove, and that also was not accepted by the children, and they told her that she was lying. But she remembered very well and stood quietly apart from all of them. So, dear children, I hope you have gone through the lesson and you are understanding the answers to the questions which I am giving to you. So, my next question is question number 12. What did Margaret refuse to do in the schoolroom? Why? Or this question can also be put up as how did Margaret realize that she was different from other children on the planet? And the answer is once she had refused to take shower in the school shower rooms and clutched her hands to her ears and over her head screaming. She had fond memories of sun and it appeared that she was totally distressed by the relentless rains. She wanted to go back. Since then, she realized that she was different from other children and kept away. Question number 13. Which rumor was spread among the children in connection with Margaret? And the correct answer is there was a rumor on the planet that she would be taken back to Earth by her parents the following year, and it was important also for her, although it would mean the loss of thousands of dollars to her family. But that was true, and that's why the children hated her for all these reasons. They hated her pale snow face, her silence, her thinness, and her possible future. Question number 14. How did children make fun of Margaret? And the answer is the boy pushed her by saying, "Get away." For the first time, she turned and looked at him. The boy shouted savagely not to wait around here and told her that she won't be able to say anything as nothing was going to happen all that day. The other children blinked at him and then they understood his taunt and laughed and shook their heads. Margaret was helpless. Still, she told them that it was predicted by the scientist, but the boy said that it was a joke and seized her roughly. Question number 15. What was the reason behind the children's indifferent attitude towards Margaret? And the answer is the children were jealous and cruel towards Margaret. It was due to the natural tendency of human beings that when one is devoid of something that other gets, he or she feels indifference. The same thing happened with them. Since Margaret had recently shifted to the planet Venus and she had all the memories of Earth, and children felt jealous of her. They could not accept the fact that Margaret had the experience of living under sun. That was why they comforted and bullied her. Question number 16. In what way children showed their anger towards Margaret, or which idea did they conceive in mind for Margaret? And the answer is as Margaret knew and remembered much about the sun than the other children, they were jealous of her. They thought of shutting up in a closet. They thought they caught her up forcefully and forcibly, and while she protested and pleaded and cried, they showed no sign of sympathy. They pushed her into a room, a closet, and slammed and locked her. They stood outside looking at the door, trembling from her beating and throwing herself against it. They could not hear her muffled cries. Question number 17. What caused silence on the planet? And the answer is No sooner did the children come back to tunnel after locking Margaret, the rain had stopped, and their teacher asked them to be ready for viewing sun. The whole crowd gathered near the door. It seemed as if, in the midst of a film concerning an avalanche, a tornado, a hurricane, a volcanic eruption, something had gone wrong with the sound apparatus, thus cutting off all noise of the blasts and repercussions and thunders. The world ground to a standstill. Question number 18. How did the sun look like to them when it appeared after 7 years? And the answer is, the sun was the color of a flaming bronze, and it was very large. The sky around it was blazing blue sky color. The jungle seemed to be turned with sunlight, and the children rushed out shrieking into the springtime as if released from their long cast spell. Although it was a common sight for a common man, but to them it was like a blessing that only showered for a while after a span of long period, that is, after 7 years. Question number 19. The cat's joy felt by the children is very well depicted in the story. Describe. And the answer is, the joy on the faces of the children on seeing the yellow sun is indescribable. When the sun came out, all of them rushed out, yelling into the springtime. Even after teachers' instructions and warning, they started running and turning their faces up to the sky and feeling the sun on their cheeks like a warm errand. They took off their jackets so that the sun could burn their arms. They found it better than the sun lamps. Question number 20. How did Venus look like? And the answer is, Venus was covered by a huge jungle which it never stopped growing, as there was excessive rain always. It was just like octopi clustering up great arms of flesh like wheat, wavering, flowering in that brief spring when the sun appeared. Its color was the color of rubber and ash, as it was without sun for many years. It was the color of stones and white cheeses and ink. It was the color of the moon. There was no vibrant color due to the absence of the sun. Question number 21. Why did the girl wail? And the answer is, in the midst of their running, children did not realize that the sun was retreating. Suddenly, a girl wailed and everyone stopped. She was standing in the open, and as soon as she held her hand out, she asked everyone to look at it. There was a single raindrop, which meant that it was the time for the sun to retreat. The girl began to cry because the long-waited moment came to an end very soon. Few cold drops fell on their noses and cheeks and their mouths. Cold wind began to blow and the sky darkened. Question number 22. How did the weather change after the sun vanished? And the answer is, after the sun retreated, it faded behind the mists, and few cold drops fell on the children's noses and cheeks and their mouths. A cold wind blew around them. The sky darkened into the midnight in a flash. A boom of thunder startled the children, and like leaves before a new hurricane, they tumbled upon each other and ran. Question number 23. What were the feelings of the children when it rained? Or this question can also be asked as, will it be 7 more years? Explain. Who asked this question? And the answer is, the children were standing in the doorway of the underground for a moment until it was raining hard. Their happiness, excitement, merriment, and laughter all came to an end soon. Lightning struck 10 miles away, 5 miles away, a mile, a half a mile. They closed the door and again heard the same common, gigantic sound of the rain falling in tons and avalanches everywhere and forever, which meant that again for 7 more years they had to wait to catch a beautiful yellow glimpse of sun. This question was asked by one of the students. Question number 24. How did the children feel about Margaret when the sun was gone? Why couldn't children meet each other's glances? And the answer is, when the sun was had gone, and it started raining again, one of the children reminded of Margaret to others. They remembered that she was still in the closet in which they had captured her. They stood as if someone had driven them. They looked at each other and then looked away. They glanced at the world that was raining and could not meet each other's glances. Their faces were solemn and pale. They felt ashamed of their reactions and their actions and realized how much Margaret sacrificed when she moved from Earth to Venus. Question number 25. Where had Margaret been captured? Who did it? Finally, how did she come out of that place? And the answer is, Margaret had been hidden in the closest inner room into the tunnel. She had been captured by the children of the Venus planet. The children who criticized Margaret now began to understand her situations of what she had been feeling since her arrival on Venus. They did not understand the depression under which she was living on Venus. It was not until they spent time in sun that they realized their mistake and walked back slowly down the hall to the closest where they had captured Margaret and opened it slowly and let Margaret out. Question number 26. Bring out the anxiety of children before the great event. What were they waiting for? And the answer is, the children had been living on the planet Venus, where the sun shone once in 7 years, and it was the day when the sun was about to shine. Thousands upon thousands of days compounded and filled from one end to the other with rain, with the drum and gush of water, with sweet crystal fall of showers, and the concussions of storms so heavy they looked as though tidal waves had come over the island. The previous day, they all had studied about the sun and wrote about it, about how like a lemon it was and how hot. They had written small stories or essays or poems about it. They imagined it to be a flower that blooms for just 1 hour. A group of school children was crowding around a window of their classroom and waiting anxiously for the heavy downpour to slacken and the sun to rise. Question number 27. Describe the life in Venus. And the answer is, the story is a science fiction about the life on planet Venus, where it had been raining constantly for the past 7 years, and the children who were born on that planet were only 2 years old when they had last seen the sunshine. They were confined in the thick glass windows from which they could hear the loud noise of the rain, and it was so wet outside that there was a rubber and ash colored jungle of weeds, flowers, and huge trees that covered the planet. Question number 28. What happened when the sun rose? And the answer is, when the sun rose, the children came out shouting and laughing on the jungle mattresses. The joy on the faces of the children on seeing the yellow sun was indescribable. Means to say that it was just simply beautiful. The scene was awesome. Even after the teacher's instructions and warning, they started running and turning their faces up to the sky and feeling the sun on their cheeks like a warm iron. They took off their jackets so that the sun could burn their arms. They found it better than the sun lamps. The children living on planet Venus were so happy to welcome the sun as if a child feels when he or she gets a new toy. They turned their faces up to the sky again and again to feel the warmth of the sun. The rain, they ran among the trees, they slipped and fell, pushed each other, and played hide and seek. It seemed as if they got the life in real sense. They put out their hands up to the yellowness of the sun and tried to feel it on their faces. They breathed the fresh air and listened to the silence which took them to the soundless and motionless sea. Question number 29. How does the story All Summer in a Day starts with the darker side of the human nature and ends on a note of hope? And the answer is, humans are a complex lot with varied emotions is conveyed through the story All Summer in a Day. Margaret is different from the rest of them as she has come to the earth and has seen the splendor of sun. They tease her, treat her like a stranger, especially William, even calling her a liar for saying that she wrote a poem on sun. They shove her, leave her alone, would not even look at her because she will not play games with them in the echoing tunnels of the underground city. She is made to feel different. They went to take revenge, so they lock her up in the dark tunnel and forget all about her till the sun appears and disappears. However, after rejoicing in the sun, the malice seems to wash away. They feel remorse and shame and slowly lets her out. We can feel their will be a better understanding among the children in future, and Margaret will be accepted as one of them. Question number 30. How does the writer contrast the scene of rain and darkness and the scene of sun and brightness in the story? And the answer is, the story begins with the eagerness and excitement of the children to see the earth that appears in the sky once in 7 years. It had been raining all those 7 years, thousands of days from one end to the other, compounded with rain, the drum and gush of water, crystal fall of showers, concussions of storms, and the tidal waves towering over them. The author says that 1,000 forests had been crushed under the rain, sprouted again, only to be crushed again by the rain. In contrast, when the sun set out, it was the color of flaming bronze against a blazing blue sky. The forest came to life, unfurling their tendrils, and the children laughed, shouted in joy, and fell on the grass and ran among the trees. It was as though a new life was flowing through their veins. The 2 hours of joy acted as a miracle in their hearts, wiping away all the malice and bringing a new understanding towards their fellow student Margaret, whom they had hitherto considered as a stranger and a liar. Question number 31. And children, this is my last question on this lesson on all summer in a day. So the question is, explore the feeling of Margaret as portrayed by the writer. And the answer is, Margaret, a 9-year-old girl, feels like a stranger amidst the other children of her class. She is kept away by the others as they feel she is not liked by them. The main difference is that she has come from earth, where she had experienced the splendor of the sun, its warmth and brightness. She does not feel at ease with the cold climate and the incessant rain in Venus. She does not want to run and play with others in the corridors of the school, does not like to take bath in cold waters. Nobody believes her she has seen the sun, which comes only in 7 years in the planet Venus. When she writes poetic lines on the sun, others call her a liar. So we see that a little girl who is shoved about, shunned by the children of her age, completely alone, sad, and even locked up in a dark tunnel by the insensitive ones. So, dear children, with these 31 questions and answers, I end my lesson here on important question and answers of all summer in a day. Hope this lesson will be beneficial for you in your studies. Come out with flying colors. Please do like, share and subscribe my channel. Thank you.